Welcome to Random Movie Reviews. I'm Nathan, and today I'll be talking about The Long Kiss Goodnight. Well, I am quite excited to talk about this movie. I've wanted to talk about this movie for a while, but of course I needed to wait to the holiday season in order to shine light on this beautifully absurd, hyper-violent action Christmas classic. A film that has had quite an interesting legacy. I think there would have been a time where this movie could have been considered to be truly underrated, and I still feel like it is very underrated. But the movie has gone on to develop quite a cult following over the years. In fact, while I was prepping for this video, I was surprised to discover a bunch of YouTubers reacting to this movie for the first time. Quite a few videos, in fact. And after watching a few of them, pretty much everyone who reacted to the video had nothing but positive things to say about this movie, being like, wow, this movie is so much fun and funny and thrilling, and how come I've never seen this movie before? How come I've never heard of this movie before? Well, I think that's going to change. I think this movie is on its way. If it hasn't reached its status already of being a full-blown cult classic, it's a movie that I now look forward to watching every year during the holiday season, because as much as I love Die Hard, and I've seen it, it's one of those movies that I may have seen more than any other movie since I've been alive. I do need to mix it up every now and again, and discovering this movie, I only first watched this movie a couple of years ago. And to have full disclosure, when I first saw the movie, I didn't know if I really liked it or not. I think I was in the wrong mood for it. When I went into the movie, I was expecting something a little bit more grounded and serious, but that's not what this movie is at all. This movie was written by Shane Black. Shane Black is most famous for writing movies like Lethal Weapon, The Last Boy Scout. He would also go on to direct and write cult classics such as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. The Nice Guys being one of my favorite movies ever. And a lot of those movies take place during the time of Christmas, and The Long Kiss Goodnight is no different. He clearly has an affinity for telling these kind of violent, thrilling action movies around this holiday. I don't know why specifically that is, but all I know is that it gives me a reason to rewatch them every holiday season, so I'm not mad at that. It's a movie where every time I've returned to it, I've grown to enjoy it more and more, and now I can say that I just love this movie. It is very over the top in terms of the action, borderline absurd, but I think because the movie is aware of that and it kind of winks at the audience, and there's a lot of humor in this movie. In fact, this movie borders on being almost an action comedy, and there are just so many great classic Shane Black, quirky, funny dialogue in this movie that, you know, it's hard to even keep track.
See, you're assuming I won't shoot your sorry ass, and everyone knows when you make an assumption, you make an ass out of you and umption. Ready? And... fuck it! Run for your life! We jumped out of a building!
Yes, it was very exciting. Tomorrow we go to the zoo.
How'd you find us?
I found the address. Here. Between the address of a topless bar and the picture of what looks like a man's penis.
That's a duck, not a dick.
But it's a movie that I would qualify as just being pure, unadulterated popcorn entertainment. And since the last movie I did was Die Hard 2, which was directed by Renny Harlin, I figured, well, now I got to talk about The Long Kiss Goodnight because this movie was also directed by Renny Harlin. So for those who have not seen this movie, let me give you a brief plot synopsis. So the movie centers around a woman by the name of Samantha Cain. 8 years prior to the beginning of the movie, she was found washed ashore while pregnant with her daughter, not remembering anything about her life before that point. And so she's been hiring private investigators to try to discover about her past, where she came from, but she's more or less content with her life. She loves being a school teacher. She really loves her daughter, loves her husband. She has a cute little perfect family unit. And then after a bad car accident where a deer violently hits her windshield and she goes flying from that windshield, her memory gets jogged and she starts getting these kind of mental flashbacks of who she was previously, what her life was, but only little hints. And then from there, she starts behaving a little bit differently, a little bit erratically. There's a wonderful scene where she's chopping vegetables and she's getting really good at it. And she's like, hey, maybe in my last life I was a chef. And then she ends it with throwing a knife into a tomato, kind of ruining the moment. And the dad and the daughter are looking very concerned.
Chefs do that.
And then there's also a scene where she's trying to teach her daughter to get over her fear of ice skating, and then she treats her very harshly, and a completely different persona takes over her. And at this point, she's very concerned and scared. We find out that she has hired a cheap private investigator who is a con man / ex-cop, hilariously named Mitch Hennessy, played wonderfully by Samuel L. Jackson. By the way, Samuel L. Jackson has gone on to say that this is his favorite movie role he's ever done.
Do you have any favorite performances?
My favorite is just kind of wacky, kind of private detective, kind of crazy dude, Mitch Hennessy from Long Kiss Goodnight.
Really?
Love that movie, man.
He puts it over his work with Tarantino, which I may not agree with, but it's fun to hear that he really has nothing but loving memories and just loves to watch this movie. So Mitch Hennessy ends up finding some information in a briefcase that he believes belongs to Samantha Cain. And then one late evening where Christmas carolers are being held up by gunpoint, Samantha Cain is then attacked by somebody who she knew but doesn't remember. She ends up knocking out the attacker.
Chefs do that.
And then that sets us for the rest of the movie, where her and this private investigator are now on a quest to figure out who she was before she had amnesia. And then we eventually find out that she was an assassin for the government who was tasked with disrupting a false flag terrorist operation by the name of Operation Honeymoon. So the first half of the movie is her as Samantha Cain kind of wrestling with trying to figure out who her past was. And then when Charlie becomes fully born again after a torture scene, symbolically, I think you can look at that as like being reborn via water. I think that's what that's meant to symbolize. Charlie is now back and she is looking to get rid of her previous life, but Mitch is like, no, you have another life, you have a better life than this, and they end up teaming together to try to stop this false flag terrorist operation, as well as take care of her past affiliates who are trying to kill her. That's pretty much the entire premise of the movie, and what makes the movie so much fun is that Shane Black kind of finds that perfect tone, as he often does, between taking the story and its character seriously while also winking at the audience and letting them know that this movie is meant to be pure popcorn escapist entertainment. I mean, there are so many moments in this movie where it's clear that it's kind of commenting on itself. In fact, there are some moments in the film where it almost comes off as being like a parody of action movies. I mean, that's how absurd and over the top and self-aware that this movie becomes.
Sam, I'll be waiting for you to come rescue me.
Be just a minute.
When I first saw the movie, I was kind of thrown off by that because I expected something else. But as I've rewatched the movie, I kind of appreciate its tongue-in-cheek tone. And I also just love over-the-top action movies. And holy Lord, this movie gets pretty absurd. I mean, I could see some people being like eye-rolling at some of the action, going like, that would never happen, that's too far-fetched. But once again, I don't think this movie's meant to be taken that seriously. Like I said, there's a lot of moments where the movie almost gets meta with how self-aware our characters are.
What happened?
I saved your ass, it was great.
And then the other thing that needs to be mentioned is that the movie is Christmassy as shit. This movie is just Christmas from beginning to end. It's snowing, it's during the winter. We get awesome scenes of like Christmas parades, and there's a Christmas party at the beginning of the movie. There's several Christmas songs that play throughout the movie. In fact, there's several great classic pop songs. This movie has a surprisingly really good soundtrack. I really paid attention to that this time around. Both Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson are wonderful together. I really love the fact that their characters, you know, they don't fall into the cliche of like, oh, they need to have a romantic chemistry. I mean, there's a scene where she tries to seduce Mitch to kind of show the audience how different she is from her previous persona, Samantha Cain. Charlie's using her sex to manipulate people. But the movie never pushes it that far. They're basically people who respect each other and they learn to trust each other and get out of the situation. Kind of Shane Black's bread and butter. The opposite people that end up working together, a la, you know, Lethal Weapon or The Nice Guys, for example. It's his wheelhouse. He really has perfected the buddy action formula to a T, and it works really, really well here. And like I said, if you're a fan of Die Hard or Lethal Weapon or Batman Returns or just any Christmas movie that has great action in it, and you haven't seen this movie yet, you got to watch it because it's just so much fun. The Christmas season is felt throughout the movie, and the action is, like I said, it's absolutely insane. And it's one of those action movies where it keeps trying to top the previous action sequences throughout its running time. And because of that, the movie never gets boring. It's 2 hours even, and it's pretty much all killer, no filler. There's no moment where it feels like the movie's too slow or lagging. It's got really, really tight and fun pacing. And it's just a movie that I've really learned to love over the years. Like I said, I got off to a rocky start. I kind of went into the movie with certain expectations, and I judged the movie unfairly for something that it wasn't even trying to be. And now I recognize the movie for being a fun, Christmas action movie that is funny, that is thrilling, that is over the top, that is pure popcorn entertainment. I'm glad to see that the movie has developed a cult following over the years and that it's getting more talked about, it's getting more recognized, especially this time of the year. But I still find people all the time that are like, I've never even heard of that movie. I'm like, what are you doing? If you love action movies, if you love Christmas action movies, because there's only a handful of them out there, this is one of the best. In fact, I'd say it's probably the best Christmas action movie that's not Die Hard. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on The Long Kiss Goodnight. Absolutely love this movie. I've been wanting to talk about it for a while, so I'm glad I was able to talk about it today. And for those who've seen this movie, let me know what your thoughts are. Mention it in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.